I moved here in January of 2016, so just a little over a year ago. I started working in this greenhouse in July. Currently we're growing a lot of winter crops. We just harvested all of the radishes out of this bed, so we did some permaculture techniques where you have the radishes that grow really, really quickly. Right as the beets are starting to need some more room, you pull out all the radishes and it gives the beets lots of room. Off to the back over here, we have the Romanesco broccoli. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's actually a cauliflower, and it's green, the light green, and it grows in like a spiral fractal. In the winter, we do get cooler temperatures, so having the protection of the greenhouse really helps so that we can have a year-round growing season. We do have to be careful as it starts to get warmer that the temperatures don't get too high in here. We have a solar-powered fan, and then the two doorways on either side that will let the cooler air come through if it gets too warm in here. We'll start seeds in the spring that will then get transferred outdoors. But we actually have a hard time sometimes growing in the height of the summer here because it gets too hot and the greenhouse traps too much heat. So we can raise the sides of these plastic panels on either side, and then it basically acts as more of a shade, so it protects it a bit from the sunlight so that it's not getting forced direct sunlight. Sometimes we'll put some shades within the greenhouse if it's really, really warm. The point of Arcosanti is to be able to accommodate the growing population and rethinking how we design cities, because it's not, we are in a sustainable model. Currently, we are selling the produce to just the residents in kind of a farmer's market style. It's all donation based, so whatever people can afford to give based on how much they take. There's no prices on anything. We hope to be able to provide for the cafe in the future. We have to meet a few requirements from the agriculture department in Arizona, as well as like the health department. Since the cafe serves to the public, there's certain regulations and guidelines that we have to meet, and we're in the process of trying to meet those guidelines, doing soil testing, water testing. The community as a whole, there's a group of people that are very interested in growing the agriculture department at Arcosanti. We used to have a large agriculture program with orchards and basil and garlic. I personally would really like to expand out around the greenhouse. This is kind of an unused plot of land around this space, and once things are ready to go outdoors, that do better in the direct outdoor sunlight, those will get transplanted and utilize as much space around the greenhouse as possible. And then down at camp, we have a few greenhouses down there as well. There's also some really great irrigation lines, and the plan is to plant fruit trees, nut trees, blackberries, raspberries, things like that. Getting your food locally it's the best nutritionally. We're picking these things and it goes right to the consumers within that day or the next day or maybe the day after. Our food that we get at the grocery store has been picked sometimes across the country and trucked many days to a packing facility, and so by the time it actually gets to your grocery store shelves, it has been out of the ground sometimes upwards of weeks, and they oftentimes treat them with chemicals so that they can stay the nice bright and shiny apple that we want, or the tomatoes get picked before they're even ripe. So being able to harvest things locally and cook them within a few days of them pulling the nutrients from the soil, that's what your bodies need, and not relying on commercial providers to truck our food in reduces the amount of greenhouse gases and fossil fuels that are being consumed. These are things that we all know, but it's actually putting them into practice. We have to change the model. It's vitally important to us as humans for future generations to completely change the way things have been done. It worked for a while. It's not going to work in 50 years from now. And yes, this is a one little garden that a few people have put together, but it's producing a ton of food. And if every community, if it's a neighborhood or a school or even like an office building, putting a rooftop garden on their building, and at least subsidizing some of the food consumption with things that they grow themselves will have an impact in the larger population, larger picture.